Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Son of a Witch. A year passed, another. Nothing was the same, year by year, but little was different either. He found himself watching how the men consorted together, realizing how long after it had begun this was effectively his first experience of male behavior. Kamiko had been unrelievably female, at least in the adult generation. The shadow presence of Fierro, long lost husband, lover, and father, was real but indistinct. Liir learned nothing of how men speak or joke or trust or fail to trust one another. In the service there were games, and Liir played hard and well. Four more clubs and socials he attended stiffly. His work assignments gave or to his days and some satisfaction. He became knowing as a good listener, though this was mostly because he was willing to spill the beans about his quirky upbringing, and listening was easier than chatting. Liir grew accustomed to his privacy. When furloughs were granted, he chose not to take advantage of them. Once he was invited to join a fellow cadet on a trip home to the family farm somewhere north of Shiz and Gillikin. Liir intended to accept, but the night before they were to leave, the cadet had a few too many. He began to carol about his dottery old dadums and the good little woman who married him, on and on and on and so forth. They're so proud of me. It's the best anyone in the family's ever done, to be selected as a member of the Home Guard. Particularly undistinguished lot, Liir supposed. Oh, said the cadet, but his mother's apple trickled Kareem in the eye. Indeed, it brought tears to him, but Lear's eyes were stones. The next morning he told the headachy cad to go on without him. He changed his mind. You don't know what you're missing, said the cadet. I'd like to keep it that way. But fellow returned with a sizable chunk of apple wrapped in cloth. It was good. Too good in a way. Liir had never tasted anything so wonderful. He resented every tasty crumb. A few weeks later, when the commander's rifle had gone missing from the rack, Liir had made an appointment to see the commander privately. He said he knew the code of honor required him to speak. Deftly, Liir laid suspicions on the shoulder of the Gillikinese cadet. The lad was hauled off to the solitary for a few days. When he had not confessed in a week, he was stripped of his uniform, excused from service dishonorably. He never made it home, someone said later. He killed himself on the way. Hung himself in someone's back field, strung up on the black trunk elm. Nonsense, thought Leo. It's just army gossip. Who would bother to learn such specific details of a suit out of someone so patently soft and regrettable? He sat in the chapel. Nothing convinces like conviction, thundered the minister, warning against softness, which is what you came to think about, like Yuji's way of approving Lear's maneuver. His own lack of remorse about it seemed authoritative in and of itself. When the rifle was found elsewhere, merely misplaced in the wrong locker, the entire company simply avoided the subject. No one came after Liir to ask him to justify his previous statements. It seemed like no one wanted to be caught in the wrong. A capacity for territorial in the growing child is threatened by the temptation to squander incapacity ruthlessly to reveal hollowness. The syndrome especially plagues anyone who lives behind a mask. An elephant in her disguise as a human princess, a scarecrow with painted features, a glitter tiara under which to glow and glide in anonymous glamour, a witch's hat, a wizard's showbiz display, a cleric's stole, a scholar's gown, a soldier's dress, sartorials. 100 ways to the question, how do I live with myself, knowing what I know? Next time Loremus rolled around, Liir volunteered for solitary guard duty in the watchtower that capped the great chapel. He wouldn't agree to being expelled, so he could spend an hour in the holiday dinner. I determine my own duty and I perform it, he said to the cadet assigned to replace him. The cadet was only too happy to sidle back to the festivities. Liir took pleasure in dumping out, untasted, and the Tanger Vale snuck in to thank him. Another year, or was it two? At length, the day came when Liir's coming learned it was shipping out, but to where? You don't need to know, said the sergeant from detailed guest looking over his notes. Your mail will be forwarded. Is this a military moment? Asked someone trying to speak stoutly. You get a night on the town before you go, 6 chicks each, a court-martial for you, and a fine for your family you don't come back by morning. On the morning call the roll, they were told. Liir had no family to be fined, and no one to shame for the court-martial, but he was getting to have enough sense of propriety not to want to be ashamed of himself. And since the months had become years, and the Home Guard was an institution that honored traditions and resisted renovation, he had lost sight of how much he had grown up. He was old enough to have a couple of years, god damn it, because who the hell knows what was coming next. He had to borrow civilian clothes from the mates, a pair of leggings, a tunic, and a waistcoat, for he'd long outgrown the rags he had arrived in. He'd outgrown everything but the old cape, in which he had no intention of swanning about, not in front of his mates, not anyone else. He had the room and cape in his locker, away from prying eyes. He no longer put his face in the musky pleats of the cape's broadcloth to harvest piercing moments. He didn't think of the past. Memories of Nor were pressed flat as envelopes, juiceless between the folds of the cape, interleaned with memories of Dorothy's history nanny and oldest Elphaba. There was no use to him now. They were indeed hindrance. Neither did he dream of his old associates. He could scarcely call his family or friends, nor than anyone else. And I'm going to stop it right there, and I'll see you later.